Why are United States naval ships operating near Venezuela? This simple question has become a major point of discussion in recent weeks, drawing attention from world leaders and citizens alike. The movement of American military assets into the Caribbean Sea represents a significant development in a region long marked by complex political dynamics. This is not just a routine exercise, it is a deliberate action that carries weight and meaning, prompting both concern and speculation across the hemisphere. The presence of these powerful vessels and the troops aboard them has raised the temperature in an already tense relationship between the United States and Venezuela, making it crucial to understand the context behind these moves. This topic matters now because military deployments are never without consequence. They signal intent, project power, and can change the strategic calculations of every nation involved. For people across the Caribbean, the sight of foreign warships brings uncertainty about security and economic stability. To understand the present, we must look at the past. Tensions between the United States and Venezuela did not begin in 2025. They have been building for more than 2 decades, rooted in deep ideological and political differences. In the early 2000s, policies in Caracas increasingly clashed with Washington. Diplomatic relations declined, marked by sharp words, sanctions, and mutual accusations. The U.S. criticized governance and human rights. Venezuela accused interference. This friction is the backdrop for today's military movements. The timeline accelerated in late 2024, amid rising regional instability linked to organized crime and trafficking networks. U.S. concern grew over disruptions to regional security and American interests, prompting enhanced counter-narcotics planning. Discussions shifted from policy to operational planning and resource allocation. In early spring 2025, Southcom announced an expanded Caribbean mission, Operation Sentinel. Deployments of naval vessels, surveillance aircraft, and personnel ramped up across U.S. southern bases and partner nations. At the center, the United States and Venezuela. U.S. forces under Southcom execute surveillance and interdiction missions with advanced capabilities. Policy guidance flows from Washington, aiming to ensure regional security, counter illegal activity, and protect allies. Caracas interprets nearby U.S. warships as a direct threat to sovereignty. Venezuela's forces, familiar with home terrain, field anti-ship missiles and patrol craft that pose local risks. Neighbors balance security ties with the U.S. against pressures to remain neutral. Some provide access and cooperation, others hedge. Russia and China maintain economic, military, and diplomatic links with Venezuela, shaping the wider strategic picture. Their support can embolden Caracas and complicate U.S. calculations. A regional issue becomes a node in global competition, adding complexity to a delicate standoff. Every statement and maneuver reverberates beyond the Caribbean. Result: a crowded stage where missteps carry outsized consequences. From the U.S. perspective, several reasons drive a larger Caribbean presence. Primary: combat transnational criminal networks in a major trafficking corridor to the U.S. and Europe. Deploying ships and aircraft enables interdictions, disrupts finances, and reduces illicit flows. Second, uphold regional stability amid Venezuela's crises spilling across borders. Mass migration, armed groups, and breakdowns of order threaten neighbors. Deterrence: advanced warships signal resolve to Caracas and its external allies. The Caribbean is treated as vital to U.S. security interests. The goal is to make aggression too costly. Freedom of navigation, routine but fundamental U.S. policy to keep sea lanes open and challenge excessive claims. While Venezuela adds politics, the core mission, open sea lanes, remains consistent worldwide. Operations are framed as defensive and law enforcement focused, but proximity to Venezuela creates new risks that demand careful management. For Caracas, the arrival of U.S. warships is intimidation and a violation of sovereignty. Leaders frame the U.S. as imperialist, seeking control over oil and political outcomes. State media amplifies the threat, rallies project defiance and unity. Imagery of strength reinforces a narrative of national defense. Venezuela raises alert levels, increases naval and air patrols, and repositions units. Coastal defenses aim to deter intervention. Caracas seeks political backing from allies and lodges. Complaints internationally. The message: outmatched or not, any action will be costly. Such defiance, rooted in threat perception, raises the risk of miscalculation. Domestic hardship persists, making the political stakes existential for the government. The standoff sends ripples across the region. Allies see U.S. ships as support against instability and trafficking. Cooperation can be quiet, intelligence and access, yet politically sensitive. Tourism and trade are vulnerable to perceived instability. Warships offshore can spook tourists and investors. Military activity raises shipping and insurance costs, lifting import prices. Governments may divert funds from services and development. Hemispheric diplomacy strains. Some side with Washington, others with Caracas. Tensions force choices that can reshape regional diplomacy. The long-term consequence, a more polarized, costly strategic environment. Even without conflict, the regional economy pays a price. For the United States, stakes include credibility, security, and hemispheric influence. Success means curbing trafficking and reinforcing stability, without escalation, missteps, accidents, or a drawn-out stalemate. Risk strategic and political costs. At home, outcomes translate into political risks or rewards. For Caracas, the stakes are existential. Survive pressure without capitulating. Weathering tension without concessions can be spun as defiance of a superpower. But heightened tension worsens economic pain and public anxiety. Escalation, blockade or strikes could trigger catastrophic humanitarian fallout. Venezuela walks a tightrope, projecting strength without provoking the unaffordable. Both capitals must balance resolve with restraint to avoid a crisis neither can control. As ships patrol and alerts persist, the situation stands at a critical juncture. Possible pathways, diplomacy, stalemate, or escalation. Best case, de-escalation via quiet channels, clear ROE, and mediated talks. More likely, a tense but stable frozen conflict. Continuous risk, a minor miscalculation spiraling into crisis. Escalatory cycle, moves and counter-moves narrowing exit ramps. A technical failure or rash decision could be misread as hostile. Once shots are fired, control evaporates fast. Neither side wants war, yet neither wants to back down. Preventing escalation demands discipline, dialogue, and time. U.S. ships near Venezuela reflect long-standing tensions and immediate security concerns. Officially, the mission targets trafficking and stability, while signaling strength to Caracas and its allies. Venezuela views this as a hostile challenge to sovereignty. The clash of perceptions puts the region on edge and neighbors in the middle. The future hinges on choices made in the coming weeks and months. Watch posture, increases or decreases in ships, aircraft or troops signal intent. Listen to rhetoric. Harder lines, or calls for dialogue, indicate direction. Track diplomacy. Announcements of talks are the clearest off-ramp. Clear channels, restraint, and engagement are essential to safety. For now, the ships remain on station, and the world watches. The balance of power in the Caribbean hangs on whether leaders choose caution and communication, or confrontation and risk.